Hey folks, welcome to my channel. So I'm Dag and I'm obsessed with everything aviation, full scale, model aircraft, ultralights, you name it. But this video, folks, is going to be more aimed toward attaching cameras to giant scale model aircraft. And folks, you know, the best way I can put this is if you're wanting to put a camera on something, you kind of need to understand what are you wanting to capture. I've spent over 45 years in what I call the entertainment theater industry. And in that, I was also drawn into working for about 4 years selling film and television lighting. And I met a lot of DP, direct photographers, or director of photography, videographers, all these different people. And I was always amazed how much prep went into them understanding the shot they wanted. And today I want to talk about my GoPro Hero8 and this little bitty cube video camera I found on Amazon, which I bought 7 of, and try to mount them all over my airplane. But I have 10 things I want you to consider. Okay, I call it my top 10 list, but it's really 10 things to consider if you're going to mount cameras to airplanes. But the most important thing you need to think in your mind, I shouldn't say the most important, because there's actually at the very end of this something very important if you're going to put on your model airplanes, and I'll talk about it at the end. It's probably one of the most important things. But if you're doing this to get good videography, okay, you've got to understand, do I want it mount on the wing? Do I want it on the tail? Do I want it on the nose? And folks, once I'm done with this video in the next week, I'm going to take all 3 flights I did with my Bronco. I did one from the tail, which is a really, really, really cool place to put it on my Bronco. I mean, folks, once I got home and I started looking at this video, I was so blown away with how good some of this worked. So that will be an independent video on its own, the whole flight. I'll do it from the wingtip mount, the whole flight will be a video. And then from the nose will be a video. So stay tuned, those will come later in the week. I just don't have time to get it all done and edited right now. I just wanted to talk about camera mounts right now. But folks, one of the things is, number one, people will use Velcro straps and pads. I've seen that done a lot. It's hard to do on a wing. It's easy to do on a fuselage or a landing gear or someplace, or maybe a strut on a wing. Velcro in attaching a camera is not that hard. Just make sure there is something in that camera that the Velcro can slide through. You're just not sandwiching it, because planes vibrate and the wind can knock a camera off an airplane. So Velcro straps, it works, okay? Number 2, 3D printed mounts. All my cube cameras here, I made 3D mounts for them. And I use basically gaffer's tape, not duct tape, gaffer's tape. In the film industry, well, actually audio industry, we all use things called gaffer's tape because it doesn't leave any sticky residue behind when you pull the tape up. But it's extremely sticky. If you're going to put it on a painted airplane, you might pull all the paint right off. So that's another thing that's really important, is if you're the camera person and it's not your airplane, you want to be really careful putting tape on somebody else's airplane. When my MSL-1 first started flying, there was a film crew that was at this local fly-in that wanted to put a camera on my airplane, and they were all freaked out about hurting the airplane. Now that, I was lucky. That was a cloth, fabric and dope wing. So them putting a little felt pad on it, mounting the camera, and then gaffer taping it to my wing wasn't going to hurt it. Now, normally when you gaffer tape something to a wing, or 3D mounting it to a wing, you're going to have some kind of apparatus that the camera will connect to, okay? And like these little cubed ones, I 3D printed my own mounts. But the thing is, folks, you can also, in the wing, if you 3D print your mounts, and you know you're always going to put cameras on that airplane, you can make threaded inserts. And I've done it to a lot of my styrofoam airplanes, where I drill a hole in the wing. Now make sure there's no wires or anything there. I put a threaded insert in there, epoxy it, sand it flat, and then paint it the same color of the wing. And you can't even see those little 440 holes in the wing. And that way I've got something to screw a 3D printed bracket to, if I decide to do that. It's pretty cool. Number 3, the action camera suction cups. Full scale, I've seen that used with a lanyard. On model airplanes, I've never seen it really work that good because our surfaces, unless it's a fiberglass and painted plane, the surfaces are too porous for that suction cup to last a whole flight. So I'm not sure I would really do that. But if you are doing it, be very careful. Folks, I'm just talking about the top 10 ways I've seen it done. I'm not telling you I would do half of these ways, okay? Number 5, zip ties and foam padding. Absolutely a good thing if you're putting it on a strut or a landing gear strut, or you're putting it somewhere that you're not going to interfere with the control surface. You don't want to run a zip tie around your ailerons or your elevator. Excuse me. Number 6, magnetic quick release mounts. You know, the rare earth magnets are great, but unless you're going to put a rare earth magnet in your wing when you're building it, I mean, just to put a piece of steel in there and have that magnet, I've not seen them strong enough that they won't fall off unless you've got a really big magnet in there. Excuse me. And then if you've got the big magnet, you might scratch the surface. So you're going to have to lay a piece of cellophane or wax paper in between that. I don't like magnets, folks, because to me, it's not a real connection. And I know some of those magnets are strong enough that you can't hardly get it off without a screwdriver. But think about the plane, too, the airframe. Double-sided tape. I've seen this done a lot, and I hate it. The reason I hate it is it always pulls off part of your airplane, or it's not sticky enough, and the camera can fall off. You don't want cameras to fall off. You can do the FPV tilt, pan tilt servo mount thing. Excuse me. See, a lot of people 3D print these. Again, how are you going to attach it to the wing? It's going to be gaffer tape. Is it screwed? I think those things are awesome, but they also weigh a lot. And I'm going to talk about at the very end of the video why weight is so important to understand what you're doing with a camera, okay? Wingtip or tail boom pods. I've seen people 3D print pods, and they actually mount their camera in it, and then they screw that to the plane. I think that's really, really cool. One of the things I want to warn you, if you're going to shoot through plastic, even like a canopy, it will distort the image some. So you really need to make sure if you're going to build a pod and build like a plastic window on it, make sure that that is crystal clear, or don't even put it on there, because I don't like anything normally in between my camera and what it's trying to record, unless it's in the cockpit, and that's number 10. Folks, I've done a lot from inside the cockpit. So I have a regular pilot that's got a regular head. Then I have a duplicate of that without the head and just the camera that moves. And looking from inside the cockpit and out has been done a lot. I'm sure you've seen the YouTube videos, but it's really, really neat to do. And it's really complicated. If that pilot vibrates around a lot in the plane, so is your camera. So it takes a lot to figuring out exactly, do you want to 3D print with like flex or something, a rubber pad that's really, really strong that will still take some of the shock out, but will keep the camera pretty stable. If you got a servo moving it, I always slow that servo down. I take a programmable servo and slow it down, because our human heads don't move nearly the speed of a servo. So if you want it to look scale, you want to slow it down. Keep in mind, the whole reason you're doing this, at least I do it, is the aircraft is the subject. You're not out recording the horizon. You're not recording clouds. You're not doing some of the stuff like with a drone where you go up and you just want to do a city. I'm talking about the airplane is your subject, and that's what you're doing this for, okay? Now, what is a, excuse me, folks, sorry, my allergies have gone ape. The most important thing you have to consider doing this, though, the 110% most important, is this Hero8 weighs like 6 ounces. You go sticking that on your tail and not thinking about your CG is very dangerous. You've got to think about what you're doing. When I mounted this on the tail of my airplane, I had to move my flight packs way forward and even move my receiver packs forward to keep my CG in the range I wanted. Okay? If you just put this on the tail of an airplane, I've actually taken this pig of a camera and put it on the wingtip of my Cessna 170 by Flex. I've never landed it without ground looping it because this weight would droop the wing. Now, if I put a counterweight on the other wing, no problem at all. And that's what I do now. But when I first put this on my Flex Cessna, I was at a fly-in with a bunch of friends in the evening, and we're like, let's put cameras on airplanes. And I should have put a counterweight on there, but I didn't hurt the airplane. It just ground looped every time I landed it. Now on my OV10, I knew I actually went to the field to put all 7 of these cameras on. Oh, and another thing is when you're 3D printing your own mounts, I was a complete dumbass the way I made my mounts. If the camera's like this and the mounts like this and the on and off button on top, it's perfect because I had a little hole in the top. But if I take that mount and mount it on the side of the airplane and stick this in here, the vibration could shut off the switch. So all 7 of these mounted on my OV10, 5 of them shut themselves off because I was a dumbass in the way that I designed the mount. But on my OV10, when I mounted my GoPro to the wingtip, I knew that wing would be heavier. It's a big airplane, 108-inch wing, 48-pound plane. And I was 99% sure it would fly fine, and it did. But I tell you something, folks, as you get slower, let me rephrase this. Anytime you got something like this sticking up in the wind stream, out on the very end of your wingtip is going to cause drag. Okay? So I knew that because I've mounted cameras to all of my airplanes. I take off, I fly over, and the plane literally, you can see it slowly turning to the right because of that camera out there. So I put in a lot of rudder trim, did my flight. Now when I go to land, I got to take that rudder trim back out. Because when you get slow, I think it's squared, drag is, it will exponentially become less drag on that wingtip, and you don't want all that rudder in when you're landing. Okay? Another thing is that when I took off, I could tell the right wing was all heavy. I was holding a little bit of left aileron. Flew around. When I landed, right as I was getting to that kind of almost not quite a full stall, but getting it where it's ready to quit flying, I had a lot of aileron in to hold that wing up as I touched down. Next time I do it, I will probably go ahead and put a counterweight on the other end of the wing. I actually may just 3D print an exact replica of this camera, exact weight, and put it on the other end of the wing, and that way the drag is compensated too. So, but folks, I love strapping cameras to my airplanes, and I love, because keep in mind, the airplane is the reason you're recording this. Not the sky, not the horizon. You're trying to get some really cool looks of your airplane in the backdrop of like the cornfield and all that stuff. It's just really neat. So folks, in the next week, I will post 3 videos, one from the tail, one from the wingtip, and one from the nose. Next weekend, I'm going back out with new 3D printed mount for all these little cameras. And folks, these little cameras caught some really spectacular footage. It's really not good quality because these are little like $35 cameras or $29 cameras. But still, it's cool to get different perspectives of mounting it all over your airplane. It's really, really cool. And hopefully you're seeing that up here on the left right here. Or your right. Or in the theaters we call stage left and stage right. So if you don't know, folks, when you're in the audience looking at the stage right is always stage right. So, oh, and as far as mounting cameras, 2 things with gaffer's tape. Folks, if you go online and just buy one of these little kits of all these different camera attachment things, you can get your bandsaw or hacksaw and just hack the crap out of these things until they're the way you want. Just make sure on the back side you put the furry side of Velcro, not the hook side, but the furry side, because that becomes a really good base for not scratching up your airplane. Okay? So do me a favor, folks, if you like this video, please like and subscribe and turn on notifications. 82% of you don't subscribe to my channel, but you come and watch my videos. So please subscribe so you can get those notifications and updates. If you're in a mobile app, please hype the video. Because the thing is that YouTube's trying to find out a way that smaller creators like me can get more momentum. And by hyping my video, it means that aviation freaks like you are interested in the freaky aviation things I'm doing. Okay? So that's it, folks. Have a great day. Be safe and be good to each other, folks. Every time I go to the flying field, everybody's so cool, so nice, so laid back. It's like going to a place to decompress. Okay? So that's it, folks. Have a great day. Rock on.